All right. So we'll answer questions after. Everything was in the video from day 2. But day 2, we joined the domain. Day 1, we migrated user accounts. So today, we're going to actually back stuff up. So we're going to create a mirror disk volume and save all your backups on this drive. Label it practice BK and drive letter D. And we're going to leave it the default size when we actually format it and set it all up in the Hyper-V. We're going to perform a file history backup on C drive. We're also going to perform a Windows 7 backup and turn on System Protect on C drive with 10% max usage. And we're going to screenshot each task. So there's a few things we got to do. We need to, when we create our mirrored disk, we're going to have to be able to do that. So there's a few things I need to show you on that, because if you do it the wrong way, it's not going to work. So let's get started. Pulling this up and over here, we'll get rid of this, and we'll full screen this. Heck, let's even exclusive mode it. All right, can you guys hear me good? We have any weird vibrator sounds in the background this time that we're not going to know until we look at the video? All right, we'll find out. Those damn ghosts. I guess it would have been more appropriate if I started with "let's get it on." That would make a lot more sense. All right. The heck? All right, so this is where we left off right here. This is my Windows 10 domain computer is already open. So I want to do backups and everything. It says I need to create a mirror disk, right? So pull up my Control A out of this. Boom. So our first task is to create a mirror disk volume and save all your backups on this disk volume. We're going to label it practice BK and drive letter D. So, okay, minimize that, get back in here. I guess I'll leave this so I can go up here and play with it. So, let's try doing that inside of it first. So there's a few ways you can do this. Now, if you have real physical hard drives, it makes it easier, but we don't. So we're using virtual hard drives. So I'm going to make this full screen really quick, and we're going to show you one way that doesn't work. So we're going to go over the disk management really quick. We're just going to cheat and come over here. We're going to right click on the start button, and we're going to go to disk management. So disk management is where we manage, format. We can see all of our disks. We can even create virtual disks. Now, I know you guys had a lab where you created virtual disks in your machine, and something worked that probably shouldn't have worked. So I'm going to show you it not work. So for us, we have, well, I did a little virtual memory one. I'm on my Windows domain one, so just making sure there. So what I want to do is I want to add a virtual hard disk. So I'm going to create a virtual hard disk really quick here, because I want to make a mirrored disk, but right now I can't do mirrored disks because I have these disks already formatted here. So we need some place to actually store our stuff. So if I come in here, I want to do VHDX, because these ones do larger formats. This could only do 2 gig. We're going to be way past 2 gig. Well, 2,000 gig, sorry. 2 terabyte, which would pretty much run out really, really quick if we're doing backups and stuff. In our case, this is just for test purposes. And then we're going to go dynamic, so it only fills up what it needs right here. So right here, you notice it says megabytes. Make sure that says gigabytes, not megabytes. So for our test purpose, I'm only going to make this 10. And then we need to say where we want to save it. I'm just going to save this on the desktop just to make it for easier cleanup later. And I'm just going to call this disk 1. Just for now. And I'm going to save it. Again, I'm just going to make it 10 gig just so you can see something here. And I'm just going to hit OK. And we should see that show up right here on my desktop. And it should also show in here automatically, but it's not going to be initialized or enabled. Or online, I mean. So right now I have disk 2. It's not initialized. Now, say I want to make two disks. I could go do the same thing I just did, right? I could also just right-click on this, right? Say copy. And then I can just paste another one. Now I have 2 virtual disks on my desktop. But it's not going to show up over here. But let me just rename that so it just doesn't say copy. Because it thinks it's talking over walkie-talkie right now. It's like copy, 10-4. All right. There we go, disk 2. So if I come up to action here, I can also double click it. But if I come up to action, I can go to attach a virtual hard disk right here. So I'm just going to go to attach, browse. I know it's on my desktop right there, and open. So now I have 2 of them in here, disk 2 and disk 3. Neither one's initialized. So that means I can't do nothing. I can't right click here and do anything with it yet. So I'm going to right click over here and initialize them. It's going to see both of them. And it's going to say, hey, do you want to do GPT? Yes, we want to do GPT. MBR has too many restrictions. We can only have certain file sizes, and we can only have 4 primary partitions on it. We can have like 128 or so on GPT. So we're going to keep it on GPT. We're never going to format a drive that much. And now they're both online and ready to go, but they're unallocated. At this point, I should be able to right-click and do a spanned volume or a striped volume or a mirrored volume. But guess what? I can't. They're grayed out. That's because you can't use virtual hard disks to do spanned, striped, mirrored, or RAID unless they're mounted outside your virtual machine, which is completely just crazy because it still knows they're virtual disks. So keep in mind up here, if I click on these, I'm going to just do a regular format on these, okay? I'm just going to do a simple volume on this one. And I'm just going to next my way through it. I'm just going to leave it whatever it wants to name it really quick. So you'll see that it actually knows that it is a virtual hard disk. So I'll do the same thing on this one. I'm just going to next through it really quick, just let it do quick format on it. We got our NTFS. Making sure these are all where they need to be here. Double clicky auto sizes, all that stuff. All right, cool. All right. So if I come over to my File Explorer here and come and look at these, they're good to go. They're right here. I got them. And if I right click on them, go to Properties, it says Microsoft Virtual Disks. All of them say Microsoft Virtual Disks. So that's not just Drive E. If I do that on any of them, it's going to show me the information on all of these. It knows these are all Microsoft Virtual Disks right here. See? But Microsoft doesn't want you to be able to do these as mirrored and doing backups and stuff on virtual disks that are in the virtual machine, which makes absolutely no sense. And I'll show you why in a second here. So I'm going to go outside my machine really quick. And probably just going to get rid of those shortly here. So let me minimize this. And now we're going to go from outside our machine. So just like we attached our other hard drives, I'm going to come up to settings on the virtual machine on Windows 10 domain here. And remember, we have our hard drives that we added here. I have my virtual memory one that we did our virtual memory, and then I have the other one. So I'm going to go in to SCSI controller right here, and I'm just going to add a hard drive. I'm just going to say add, and I'm going to go new. Now I'm going to leave this one dynamically expanded because we're not going to put a whole lot of information in these. And again, we are limited on how much storage we have. So I'm just going to hit next really quick. I'm going to leave it on default, dynamically expanded. This means it's just going to expand as we put stuff in it like a water balloon. So I'm going to hit next, and I'm just going to call this BK domain, which is random capitals. Okay, apparently my cap lock got tripped. So I'm just going to call it BK domain. It's on my V drive, so that's where we have all our storage, right? Always make sure you have room where you're making it. So I'm going to hit next. So I'm just going to leave this at the 127. That's okay, because it's not actually going to take up that much space. Now, if I wanted to, I could actually copy a physical drive on my computer. So I could copy a physical drive, it'll clone it and put it into this virtual machine. I'm not going to do that, but that's what this is here for, to copy the contents of a specific physical drive. Or I can use a copy of the contents of a virtual hard disk, so another hard disk that's mounted and stuff. Well, I'm just leaving this at 127. And that's it. And I'm going to go finish. So now I've created that. So I'm just going to create one more, same thing. Because I like the cheat. I'm going to copy that. And remember, I need to hit apply first before that goes. So I'm going to hit apply. It won't be blue no more. So now it's not blue. That's actually created that, and that's attached to my machine. So I have to go back up the SCSI controller here, add a hard drive, and I'm going to do one more new one. Because I need 2 to do mirrored, right? And I'm just going to paste that and put a 2, not a 32, but a 2 at the end of that. And then I'm just going to next my way through it really quick and hit finish. And apply. Now I'm going to hit OK on this. And inside of here, it's already here. So if I right click and go back to my disk management, it's going to automatically see those. They're not going to be blue like the other ones, though. So see, it sees them. I've got GPT. And it's going to be almost exactly like before. Well, it will be, except the colors are going to be different. So I'm just going to hit OK on the GPT part. And as I scroll down, my old ones that I did are right there. See, they're blue. It knows those are virtual disks, right? So blue means it's a virtual hard drive. Moving down. Now the 2 I just added are also virtual hard drives. This one and this one. And if I go back and look over here, I'm just using this because this is just one way to show you really quick. It's going to show those all in here. Now I haven't initialized them yet. So it's not going to show them right there, but it should show them up here. So see, all of them say Microsoft Virtual Disks. Close that all up and go back in our disk management here. So, but now, see, these are online, like those are online, but if I right click, I now can span, I now can stripe, I now can mirror the volume. Kind of annoying, huh? Why can't I do that with these ones? Just because ones are outside the machine and one are inside my machine. So, really no rhyme or reason to it. This is a way you can do ghetto raid, where you can have these hard drives mirrored and have one on your computer and one on your network, so that it's backing up one on your local computer and one somewhere else, or one on a removable hard drive and one out on your network somewhere. And if one of those fails, you can rebuild your mirror with another one attached to it, right? So this is one way we can ghetto raid across the network and do a backup. So at this point, I can actually go to mirrored. Welcome to the new mirrored volume wizard, and I'll just hit next here. So it's going to show the drives that are available for it. So I'll click on this one and say add. Now remember, we just told it to keep everything as default. So we're going to go next. So this, we actually had a requirement, right? What was that requirement? It needs to have a drive letter D. Drive letter D. I might have an issue with that though, right? So let's see. Oh, D's used up right there. So for right now, I'm just going to let this be whatever it's going to be, and I'll go back and fix that. But that's a requirement. It needs to be drive letter D on this one, right? So for right now, I'll just use B because it's right there. And then we also had a volume label that we need to label that. The volume label is practice BK. Now, when I see BK, it kind of drives me crazy because when I did prosthetics, BK meant below knee. It was an amputation. Transfemoral, transtibular. So I can't paste. Oh, maybe I can. But no, I can't paste that way. I'm going to come up here. Let me make sure I'm clicked inside of it because I'm cheating. Doing everything with my mouse. So practice BK. I'm going to make it look pretty. So I got practice BK right there. Perform a quick format, and I'm going to hit next. And then finish. And remember, right here it says volume type mirrored. Now, I'm not going to gain. This might give me an issue. On the first try, we'll see what happens here. It says once you make it dynamic, you can't go back. So So those are now mirrored volumes. So one thing about mirrored is even though we have 126 and 126 gig, we still only have 126 gig because both these drives are working as one drive. When we write to them, we can't gain any speed. When we read off of them, theoretically, we can gain speed. Our fastest one would be doing striped. Striped would give us the most speed for putting drives together. Unfortunately, we won't see it on here because all these drives are technically stored on the same read-write hard drive, right? They're all on a RAID array on a server. But if we were doing these with real hard drives, like on my system, let me minimize this really quick. So this is my home system right here. So I have striped on 4 Samsung disks right here, and they run about the same speed as my M2 hard drive, my Zoom hard drive, okay? And if you want to see that later, I'll show you guys that later. But these are my SAN disks, and this is SK Hendrix. And then my C drive is actually an M2. I don't even see my C drive right now. There it is. So this is an M2 SAN disk, Evo like 950 or something for my C drive right here. But if you stripe these drives together, they run about as fast as my M2 drive right here. So, and these are physical hard drives here. These aren't virtual hard drives right here. So, and this is my computer that I use for video editing and everything. So going back into the system, and I'll show you guys a speed test later when we're not videoing. So I'll pull this up. So we have other options in there when we are formatting. Let me go these guys. So I can delete the volume. And those two are now gone. And we can do RAID 5, mirrored, striped, and spanned. So spanned is just when one drive fills up, it'll flow over to the next drive. Striped, it's reading and writing to each drive like simultaneously. It's doing a little bit on A, a little bit on B, a little bit on C. So it's a lot like RAID 5 without parity. It's just writing on everything. You lose one drive, you lose everything. Mirrored, we lose one drive, we're good to go. Now, with doing this with software on Windows, you can only use 2 drives for mirrored on this. Now, with real RAID, you can use more than that. So RAID 5, we have to have a minimum of 3 drives. Technically, you need a minimum of 4 drives. So you're going to need 3 that are virtual drives and a drive to store those on, right? So that's a trick question on a Microsoft exam is you're creating a RAID volume 5 in a Hyper-V, and what's the minimum amount of hard drives you need? They trick you. 1 to store everything on, and 3 virtual hard disks that you create. So now we have to make this drive D. So I can just come over here. I can right click on these and change drive letter, right? It says B. Let me go to change. D should be available now. There's D. And then OK. And now it's drive D. So now I've met that requirement. So right now I have mirrored, which I can see right here. Remember, my requirements are to take a screenshot to prove I did this, right? So this says drive D, and it says mirrored right there. So right here would be a screenshot, right? And heck, just to make it easy, just have that selected, and it shows it right here. So it shows you have a practice BK, you have the default values on it, and it says mirrored right here, practice BKD. Screenshot. All right. Our next requirements. Trying to pull it up. All right. So we are done with this part right here. We created it in Hyper-V. It's good to go. Now we need to perform a file history backup on C drive. All right. What's the easiest way to find any of this? besides that it lives in control panel. All right. I'm going to close that. Our job there is done on that. Let's see. Can I just type backup? Hey, backup settings. Let's see what that gives us. All right. Hey, look at that. Backup using file history. I got lucky. Look where that lives too. Settings, update and security, and backup right here. Also, you can see Windows 7 backup is hiding right here. Now, this ain't the only place to find it. This is one place. So control panel that they're trying to get rid of also has all this stuff in there. So a control panel, don't mind all this stuff here. Just always just take this to large icon. Large icon shows us everything. So we have file history backup right here. We have Windows 7 backup right here, right? And then we're going to have a third one, which is hiding over here under system. So the third one's going to be under here. And it's going to be under system protect. And that's going to be the last one we do. So last one, we're going to turn on system protect on C drive and run with it. So let's go and see what our options are. We already had it open, unless I just closed it. I think it's open right there. I did it. Okay. System protect. System protect. Oh, it's under update and security, right, guys? Boom. Backup right there. All right. So here we're going to add a drive. So back up the files to another drive and restore them to its original are lost if the original are lost, damaged, or deleted. So we're going to add a drive here, right? And it's going to give us two. We have a virtual mem one, which it ain't going to work. You may or may not have that one. I don't remember if you did those with me or not. And then practice BK on drive D. So on this one, we can just click on that, and it should start giving us something happy, happy, joy, joy here. If not, we're going to go through control panel because we know this stuff doesn't like to work properly. No usable drive found. All right, now it's being grumpy. It might be just doing it now in the background. Let's see. More options. Think we got a grumpy one going on right here. Let's see. We'll go this way, see if it shows us something happening. Do. Yeah, it's doing it. It just didn't want to tell us it's doing it. So it is now on. So if you want to proof that you did it, just come back here. Let's see if it's going to be nice if I go back there, if it's going to show it on this. There's so many glitches when you do the one in the settings over here that it's just kind of beyond annoying. So it does say it's on now. So I would take either one of those for your screenshot for turning it on. But it looks like I turned it on for the wrong drive, right? Or did I? No one wants to answer my question? So it's going to save all your files, your documents, and everything to the D drive. So that's telling you what drive it's saving to, not what drive it's copying from. So see up the top here, it says copying files from libraries, desktop, contacts, and favorites. So it's good to go. When you hit run now, it's going to back everything up. So I can see over here it says backing up your data. So that's good to go. No one wanted to answer me in chat, huh? Okay. So that's doing file backup right now. So I'm going to close that. So what's our next one? What's the next one we need to do, guys? It says it's a different operating system, but it's really not. I don't know why they don't just rebrand it like they rebrand everything else. So I can come back over here to my control panel. So yeah, Windows 7 backup. So this one will image your entire computer. You can create a system restore disk from it. This is a complete system restore right here. This is like complete catastrophic. You completely lost your computer. And you need to restore everything. This is a bootable disk that'll allow you to do that. Now you can do just the image, or you can do a system restore disk, which can read that image and restore it. This is also advanced boot options that will allow you to point to this and save it. So right now it tells you right here, Windows could not find a backup for this computer. So we're going to do set up a backup. Now the default one, if we do the very first, we're going to say custom, because the first time you do it, it's probably, once you have everything set up, probably a good thing to do a complete system, right? Make yourself the restore disk, maybe a restore USB, whichever one you prefer, and go store that. Put that in your safe or something. And make a good habit of backing up your system on a regular basis. Put it on a counter. Now you also have your other backups in case you lose stuff or delete stuff, but this is in case you lose your whole system. See, we recommend that you save your backups on an external hard drive. Well, I don't have an external hard drive, so we're just going to do everything on our D drive like we said we were going to. So I'm going to click on D drive. We can also save on the network if we want it. It's going to say it doesn't like this because it's a dynamic disk. So if you go to more information, because when restoring a system image from this volume, this disk on your computer cannot be formatted to match the layout of the disk in the backup. To have full restore functionality, select a volume on basic disks as on a basic disk as your backup location. For now, just remember that. Put that in your notes, that you don't want to do it on a dynamic disk. Ours is a dynamic disk because it's a RAID disk. But for our purposes, it's going to let us do it. It's just saying, hey, we don't recommend this. We're going to do it anyway, okay? Just for class purposes to double dip here. So I'm going to do my practice BKD, and then I'm going to hit next. We could do it on the network again. So what do you want to back up? We can say let Windows choose. Windows will back up data files saved in libraries on the desktop and in Windows default folders. Windows will also create a system image, which can be used to restore your computer if it stops working. These items will be backed up on a regular schedule. So this will keep backing up stuff for you, but what you need to definitely do is test those backups. Make sure they work. Pull up a virtual machine and see if your backups are actually functional and work. Because once again, this is Microsoft, and there's a good chance these backups won't work. Most people use third-party software for running backups on systems. I prefer to use Clonezilla because it backs up the whole system, and I can push it anywhere I want it. We can also do let me choose. So if I hit let me choose, I'm just going to hit next really quick, and we can see our options here. So this lets me pick everything that I want to back up. So I can back up just users. I can back up local C. I can back up the mem. I can also back up and let Windows choose. So I'm just going to let Windows choose for today. And I'm going to hit next. And this is going to do everything. It's going to do a system image, and it's going to do default Windows folders and locations. And it's backing up to my D drive. So it says a system repair disk might be required to restore system image. So I could create one right there. And I'm just going to say save, settings, and run backup. So at this point, I will take this for your screenshot that you're running your backup. All right. I will take this right here. This is your screenshot. It tells you all my requirements, right? Practice BKD. And you're running it. Backup in progress. And it says Windows 7 right here. So that's another requirement that we're going to be looking for today when you turn in your assignment for this, when you get to it, if you're not done with your other one. So let's pull back this. So perform file history backup. So we already did that. We just did Windows 7. We're knocking these out, right? So turn on System Protect on drive C, drive with 10% max usage. So that's our next one. We're going to knock out number 4, task 4. So I should at least have 4 screenshots, right? All right. So how do I get to there? I showed you guys in the very beginning. How do I get there? Sit here and draw pictures all day until someone answers in the chat. Nobody? Nobody? Man, this could have been like a 40-minute video. Could have been. Now it's going to be like 3 hours. Settings. All right, all right. Or right-click start. Either one's going to get me to settings. All right. I'm going to go to system. So if we go to about, it's going to take us to system properties, pretty much the one that's in our version of Windows now. So we have our 20H2, and then at the bottom, it has the same stuff that would be on our tabs. So I'm going to go to advanced system settings. See, system protects right there. You can click on it. So it's in system properties right here. And we have drive C. So all we do is got to click on drive C and click configure. Now this is like checkpoints in your Hyper-V. This lets us capture a system state and restore it back to our system state. So once we do this, we've had 3 different forms of backups, right? 2 that can give us our files back, 1 that can do a complete system restore. So this can also restore your system if you have a bad update. And it says 10, right? Can we use the arrow key? Oh, we can. Look at that, 10. So go back and double check and make sure we're meeting our requirements. Turn on System Protect on drive C with 10% max usage. So this uses shadow copies in order to do backups and stuff. It also allows you to click on a document and say, hey, restore this. So I've got my requirement right here where it says 10. I'm going to hit apply and then OK. Now you notice right here, it hasn't updated anything. I'm going to hit OK, and let's go back into there. Because I forgot to do something. So see, it's still off. So let me go back. Let me go to configure. So even though I set that for 10, look up here. There's a toggle. Turn on System Protect. If you don't turn that on, it's not actually going to turn it on. Okay, guys? So when I hit apply, now it's actually going to show it over here. And guess what? That's your last screenshot right there. But just make sure you have that also. Why? Because I asked you to do a requirement right here that says 10%, right? By default, that's not on 10%. So you need to show this, and you need to show that it's turned on over here. And that that's on, and that apply button's been hit. And that's pretty much it for today's. Very simple, very quick, right? Now, if you guys all get done early, we can go through day 4 if you want, and we can do that stuff if you want. That one's going to be doing encryption and everything, or we can save it for tomorrow. So, with that said, that is it for back it up, back it up, back it up. Why is he saying back it up, back it up, back it up? All right. Well, because on your exam, which is what we were getting ready for, right? Back it up, back it up, back it up. Why? Because there's 3 kinds of backups. And look, it's exactly the same thing with a couple different names because you name stuff different. All tasks are on Win2. Create a mirror disk volume and save all your backups on this disk. Label it exam BK and drive letter D. Leave drive size default size and create it in Hyper-V. Perform file history backup, Windows 7 backup, system protect on drive D 10% max usage. Screenshot each task, and then it's got your requirements for naming your file. So I'm not asking you to do anything that you haven't done before, right? You should be able to do your exam. So with that said, let's end the video. I'll upload the video and it'll be ready for you.